We got folks in Canada, the US. So I think we're going to have a great mix of people here joining today. We have some current customers that will join us, some of our current partners, our tech partner SPS. We got Halifax,
England.
England, beautiful. I thought you were going to say Halifax, Canada, but
Yeah, but no.
we got the European connection in the building, and Mexico City, awesome. Texas, wonderful.
And love Austin, love that city. Great.
I guess
Welcome
we
to
need to do it.
you.
We have to do a conference or partner meetup there at some point.
I would love to. Yes.
Mike's trying to get to Austin anyway, can. Yeah,
Awesome.
we're in
It's an amazing
Austin.
city. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's
Wonderful.
an amazing city.
I see we have a couple other folks from France joining as well as Italy. One of our partners in Italy is going to be joining as well. All right, guys, we'll get started in a moment. Looks like we've had a lot of people flow in. We got Regina, Saskatchewan. Wonderful. Perfect, guys. Well, let's get going. So we have a very special guest here today. Thank you, Max and Justin, for joining us. We're going to be talking about navigating today's manufacturing challenges in the food and beverage industry and how Katana and LevelOps together really set businesses up for success when selecting a software, implementing, and also making sure that you're scaling your business as efficient as possible. So let's get right into it. All right, here we are. So quick agenda. We'll do some quick introductions. We'll just so you guys can get to know who we are. And then we'll jump into the state of the food and beverage industry today. So talking about a lot of the challenges that businesses are facing, which are many at this time, and how we navigate those challenges with Katana and LevelOps. We'll also dive into some operator insights. So we're really lucky to have Max and Justin, who actually have hands-on experience working with food and beverage brands, being in the trenches, working with spreadsheets, and helping scale those businesses before tools like Katana were available. And then we'll move into why the right partner matters. That's from a customer perspective or a brand perspective, partnering with the right software and consultant like Obius, or sort of formerly Obius, now LevelOps, to help unlock the full potential of your business. And then also what a great partnership looks like for Katana from our perspective. We definitely see an increase of LTV, lifetime value of our customers, when they do work with our partners. Wonderful. So let's get right into the introduction. I'm Vince Dobson, partner manager here for about a year. I manage relationships with our business consultant partners, our HubSpot partners, e-commerce, as well as some accounting firms on the Intuit QuickBooks Online front. Max, give us a little overview of yourself.
First, thank you, Vince, for hosting this webinar. We're super excited to be here and share some of the good stories we had as an operator before. So I'm Maxime Lavoie, founder and CEO of LevelOps. I'm an engineer by training. I started my career as a consultant in supply chain at Deloitte. Did that for 7 years. I helped many big retail business like Walmart to optimize their operation. I was doing system selection, implementation. And then I joined a startup in food manufacturing, Milkit here in Canada, and grew their operation. Grew them when I joined. It was about 10 millions of revenue, grew it to 400 millions. And we'll be sharing some of those stories, crazy stories that we had during that time later on with Justin. So up to you,
Hi,
Justin.
I'm Justin Rotondo, Director of Consultation and Consulting at LevelOps. 15 years in operation, mostly on the consulting and operation side as well, but doing a lot of work with coaching first level, second level managers on what's the best communication approach. How do you get your team on board? How do you do change management? How do you get everyone kind of pointing in the same direction? And really working with teams to try to get them to the next level back then, and now that's what we're doing at LevelOps now. And especially like Max mentioned, we spent a lot of time working on scaling a small business at a time, which became a huge business, and we structured that over the years, and it was quite a great experience. And now we're joined up again for LevelOps, bringing that kind of value.
Very good. Yeah, and you guys are a very unique partner of ours that with that hands-on experience, you were actual operators, you worked for businesses in the trenches. So I think we'll get a lot of value out of your stories and how you've helped navigate those challenges. So
Yes,
let's get right
and
into a
maybe
quick. Go
And
ahead,
maybe
Max.
just before, sorry, just going forward, there is a Q&A section there. So we want this to be interactive. So it's not a monologue. Please, ask your question away. We'll be looking at your question and we'll be able to answer on the spot if we can, if we're not speaking. But we want this to help you out. So sorry, Vince, to interrupt you. I think it was good to mention the Q&A there.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have the Q&A box. Please ask questions. We have two experts on the line here. So, and if you happen to have questions after, we'll definitely get in touch. We're happy to jump on a call. So I'll give, just for anyone who's new out there, who doesn't know much about Katana yet, I'll give you a quick overview of our business. So we are a inventory and manufacturing software. We're one of the newer players in the space that make it very easy to implement, very user-friendly. We have unlimited users, so very easy to scale a business on Katana. And about 50% of the businesses we work with scale in about 6 weeks. So it's a lot more efficient than working with some of the old on-premise platforms. And moving from, let's say, from spreadsheets or even an all-in-one ERP, we make it pretty easy, especially when you're working with a partner like LevelOps. So we have about 1,500 businesses working with us in 70 different countries across 75 different industries. So we're industry agnostic. We work with all sorts of businesses, but typically in the light manufacturing, product assembly space, but also businesses that have advanced inventory and warehouse management needs. And just lastly, a lot of the businesses we work with are typically fast scaling businesses that often we're seeing their growth rate increase as they're working with us, but also seeing their inventory levels come down. So being able to better forecast and get the right data and information they need to be as efficient as possible with stocking, not understocking, but also not overstocking. Wonderful. Now I'll allow LevelOps to kind of give a little overview of themselves.
Thank you, Vince. So LevelOps is basically helping manufacturing companies to improve their operation and deploy AI agent to automate some of their process. We're not only consultant or technology integrator, we are operator at heart. So whenever we do project with you, with any of our clients, we're really putting ourselves in the shoes of the operator. We know how difficult it is to manage manufacturing business, especially in the food and beverage industry where there's a lot of constraints and complexity. So that's one of our main advantage compared to the other firms out there. We're also really good into the automation of some of the manual and repetitive tasks, whether it's data entry, data processing, and manipulation. We have AI agent that will be showcase today one of the example of those AI agent that can help you save time and improve your margins. We're not only looking at technology when we're doing our work with our clients, we're really looking at the people, we're looking at the process, and we're trying to optimize everything. So Justin mentioned before that he spent some time coaching the operation team. I think it's really, really important in the implementation success of an ERP, MRP, and we're spending a lot of time making sure the teams are aware of the system, well-trained, and efficient in their work. And lastly, I would say that we're really, good in all manufacturing business, but we are really, we have a very good traction and experience in food and beverage manufacturing from our past experience, as well in industrial machinery manufacturing as well. But we can work with any manufacturing business. The more complex it is, the better we like it. We like it when business are complex, when we can bring more value. And that's what we're doing at LevelOps in a nutshell. So back to you, Vince.
Thanks, Max. So let's get into some actual challenges that these businesses face. All right, here we go. Great. So, people are well aware, there's lots of challenges in this space right now, especially around price volatility. So with the recent tariffs on and off, definitely causing a lot of uncertainty for businesses, as well as inflation, through the COVID period, even today, inflation's slowing, but it could always pick back up. And those changes in pricing can make a real difference. So with Katana, it really allows you to understand the pricing of your raw material, where are your prices increasing on your production line, and how are you going to address that? Without having full visibility into this, without a system like Katana, it's going to be a real challenge to scale and navigate these difficult times. There's also other challenges like shelf life tracking. We do expiry date tracking, batch tracking in our system. If you're using a tool like Shopify or another sales channel, you may not have that sort of level of tracking that we would provide. And as those prices change and there's more, potentially inflation, tariffs, we really make it easy for you to manage your supply chain, to manage your different suppliers, and understand, why are my costs increasing, where are they increasing, and then making the right decisions to ensure you're ensuring the continued success of your business. Max, I'm going to hand it over to you. I'd love to kind of hear about those operational complexities that you see in the food and beverage industry and the manufacturers that you work with.
Yeah, definitely, Vince. So in our case, in our past experience, the labor shortage was really one of the big thing. Obviously, we had huge demand increase and growth, but there was also demand variability. So one of the things we were doing to help us cope with that was really to have a certain percentage of our labor that was part-time. So it allowed us to have some flexibility with the lower, higher demand and being able to hire fast. The other thing that was really, really important, and it was a challenge, really the training. So in some of the weeks that we were growing the business, 10 to 20% per week. On a team of 100 people, we had to hire at about 10 person a week. But when our team was, 1,000 people, we had to hire 100 people a week. So that was really crazy. So, the best thing to do was really to optimize obviously the hiring process and the onboarding and training process. So that's something that sometimes we don't put enough emphasis on, but for operational efficiency, there's a lot of gain where you can get there in training and making sure that people are, they understand their job, they know how to use the system. It's clear what are the role and responsibilities. So there was a lot of challenge with that we managed with better onboarding and training. And the last one that was really a challenge for us in the food manufacturing, food and beverage industry was really the traceability and compliance. So obviously in Quebec here we have the MAPAC. There's a CFIA in Canada and the States, similar regulation body. So the best thing to do is to have all the information in one system. I remember sometimes where we have scattered information on lot tracking, allergen, best before, and when there's a challenge like a recall or when there's a suppliers that want some information about some of the batch, you don't want to wait until you're in trouble to gather and put that process and put those systems in place. So it's really to have one single source of truth. And I think, tools like Katana really helps you to do this because you have one single source of truth. You have your information about your batch. It's easily capturable when you do receiving of your purchase order. You identified which item needs to be batch tracked, what are the expiry date, and easily you can have access to this information if there's an issue. And those could really, really save you some time down the road. I think it's a good investment of time to set up those process and tool up front. And especially with the compliance and the traceability, because there could be huge impact in terms of food recall and your ability to sell your product if you're not able to deliver on those information when there's a recall or any other issue. So those are to me the two main things that I saw in the past. I don't know, Vince, if it speaks to you, but that's really what I see in the food and beverage industry so far.
Yeah, and I think this is what makes you guys unique, is you've worked in these sort of businesses and you've had to deal with all these challenges. So I think these are.
If I may add, yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but taking a step back, the main thing is really having a single source of truth. Whatever challenge you have in terms, price volatility, shelf life tracking, or supply chain shift, or whatever complexity, the basis of it is, do you have your item information in one place, right? One single source of truth in your MRP, ERP with your, your allergen requirement or your batch tracking requirement. And then whenever you do purchase order or inventory management, make sure it's in one system, right? So that really helps you to face those complexity. And I think Katana, and we'll speak a bit about it, is the right tool for that, basically, that can help you to manage those complexity.
Great, thanks for that insight. And what we'll do now is we'll actually move into real life examples. And I think that's what probably our audience is most interested in. Um, Speaking about, Max and Justin, they actually met at a very fast scaling food and delivery service here in Canada. And when I first met Max, he told me the story about how back then they built everything on spreadsheets and they didn't have a tool like Katana at their fingertips at the time, and the amount of time that may have saved. So I'd love, Max, tell me a bit about that story. So you guys were, in the trenches, maybe what, about a decade ago, and tell us about that. How did you manage this? And we'd love to hear these stories from Justin as well.
Yes, and there's a lot of stories, Vince, that I've shared with you and the team, and Justin and I love to remember that because it was really intense. We scaled the business from 10 millions of recurring revenue to 400 plus, $500 million, right, in only 3 years. We were working 7 days a week. It was a 3-shift operation. I had 2,000 people in my team. It was crazy. And, the challenge is when I started, everything was paper-based or mostly paper-based. So thinking about work order instruction, the recipe itself, the planning or the lack of thereof. So there was a lot of opportunity to improve. So at the time, the business was doing about 10 millions of revenue. There was about 100 people in my team. And it was really exciting because we were growing at 10 to 20% per week. So the lack of visibility on our sales forecasts and our inventory brought a lot of challenge. So specifically, when we were assembling our recipe, sometime over the weekend, we could be, missing some ingredient. The missing ingredient was a really big taboo, and it was making, jump everybody in the team. Because we were so lean, actually, we were delivering, about 80% of our volume on the Sunday night. So we only had about, 2-3 days to manufacture the meal kit. So it was really, really short period of time. So when we were missing an ingredient, we really had to shuffle and, go to Costco and buy a couple of cases of broccoli and bring it back into the factory and, making sure that we were not delaying our orders. At first, it was working when it was, only, a few cases of broccoli. But as the business grew, it was not only, 2 cases. Sometimes it was like 2 pallets of broccoli that we were missing. So we really had to put, system in place to avoid those situations, obviously, because we never wanted to short our customers. So that lack of visibility and system really caused a lot of drama and was creating a lot of additional work for our team. So the way we tackle it in order to solve it is really with our operational excellence framework, really by people, process, tool. So we really started by making sure that we had the right people in place, not only the operator, but also the good supervisor with clear role and responsibility. So supervisor that can not only coach their team, but know how to plan and know how to do some resolution and maybe sometime also put their hands, get their hands dirty and operate as well and execute. So that was really the first thing. And then the second thing was really regarding the team to have cross-functional alignment. Another funny story. So we had the purchasing team doing their forecasts, and we had the operation team doing their forecast, 2 independent forecasts coming from 2 different sources. Obviously, there was misalignment sometimes. So we were looking at the number of recipe and product to produce, and we were not aligned. So obviously, we were, again, missing ingredient, missing chicken or whatsoever. So that cross-functional team alignment really helped us to, set the foundation on having the same data for the forecasts and being aligned on what are the priorities. And that really, set the foundation for the improvement afterwards on, obviously the sales and operation planning process meeting that we were conducting on a weekly and daily basis, and making sure that we were preventing or anticipating some of the issue we were seeing, whether it was a missing ingredient or any misalignment. And at the end, it was really the tools. So sometimes people think that the tool is the answer to all their challenge, but it's not necessarily, right? So you really have to think about who's using the tool, what are your process, and you need to set up the foundation with the people and process before you can put a tool. And really for us, the tool at the time was really, unfortunately, it was not Katana at the time, but it was really internal build tool that we did some Excel, spreadsheet with some macros and SQL and, custom build tool to automate some of the forecasting and inventory management. But it really helped us to have at least one single source of truth for the product, one single source of truth for the sales, the sales data. We could do our forecasting and really execute on, our operation planning and execution. And what we could have done differently, I think, is really to put some system in place earlier on. Obviously, it's easier to say, looking back, but I think it would have been valuable to invest the time in putting some of the specific functional tool like an MRP or inventory management system in place, because we implemented the Microsoft Dynamics. I think we were around 250 millions of sales, and we waited too long. And the different approach would be really to go with best of breed functional tool, to manage the inventory. You don't need to integrate it with finance, right? You get instant ROI. It's easier to implement. You optimize your operation within your team, and then you kind of like level up your operation. And once you get those quick ROI and the business grow, then you can start to think about like a bigger system that can manage more complexity or volume. But that's really kind of like what I've seen. And obviously, Vince, I could talk about it for like hours. There's many stories to share. I don't know, Justin, if you have a few you want to share with the people
Well,
here.
just when it comes to tools, right? Like, I mean, simple things, but like we didn't have a receiving system, right? We were doing manual counts, so our receiving was done on Slack. And when the channel would say, oh, we received this ingredient for that day, so yeah, we had maybe the forecast single sort of true. We built some tools, but like things were way lagging behind. And these are simple functionalities that exist pretty easily today. But back then it just we didn't take the time or weren't informed basically on those kind of things that we could have put something in place relatively simply. And that's kind of how we were running around, and there was a lot of missing things that we just didn't have access to information that was really kind of, just because you have the information, if it's not easily accessible, it's not that much better, right? So yeah, I have it on the seventh spreadsheet here that I never look at because I have too much things going on. So having something simple really helps a lot of, helps you scale, really.
I
Yeah,
forgot
definitely.
about that Slack channel, Justin, for the receiving. And,
Receiving Slack channel,
now I
you know,
remember it. People were posting pictures as well on the quality of the pepper that we were receiving,
quality as
and
well,
so
touch
forth.
points, yeah,
Those were
crazy.
good times. It makes me think also that we had some people that were, their job was to do inventory count nonstop, because we were so lean and we didn't have time to miss ingredient. That at the end, at first, for some critical ingredient, we had people counting to making sure that we were not missing anything. So crazy stories.
Yeah, too bad Katana wasn't available back then. I think when you were in that, the 50 million a year range, I mean, we would have been really excellent tool to be able to implement. But again, back then it was more all-in-one ERPs and on-premise systems. So, um, this is a great example of how you kind of want to get ahead of the game, get implemented, partner with a good consultant like LevelOps to be able to make sure you scale responsibly, I would say. Right on. Now let's actually.
We weren't scaling responsibly, I guarantee you
You definitely weren't.
that.
Wonderful. And now look, Justin. Bit about that story. Um, Justin actually has very unique experience. So he actually worked with one of our health and wellness brands, where he was actually part of the selection of the software, implementing Katana, managing the operations and the scaling of the business on Katana, as well as navigating increased costs during the inflationary period we saw, during COVID. Max, tell us about this experience. It always stuck out to me as really why LevelOps is so, I guess, has another extra edge to them compared to some of the other business consultants out there.
Yeah, so basically when I left working with Max, I went to this wellness brand that was doing chocolate bars and things like that. And we implemented early on Katana. It was like kind of new at the time, and we implemented it in, and we did the selection. And I was general manager operations over there, and I ran first couple months without any system, and a lot of things were done manually. We had like maybe an Airtable to kind of track some stuff, but like forecast sales was all different places, different sources of truth, like we talked about, right? And then we implemented Katana. All of a sudden, everything's in one place. We're seeing live sales orders coming in. We're able to manage that. We're able to even start forecasting. So we do a whole SNOP process to like try to understand what the capacity of the company is. And as you start building these systems and these processes around the single source of truth, everyone has the same visibility. You're able to start even making some savings. So all of a sudden, we can start working on packaging. Some before we're getting spurts of packaging here and there because we didn't know the mix. We didn't know exactly how much to order. We don't want to be stuck with thousands of packaging inventory. And now all of a sudden we have control. We have access to information. We're able to decrease the cost by taking maybe going with a different distributor, a different thing who's taking a bit higher volume, and we're reducing kind of our inventory overall, but also improving our price. So that was super helpful. Inflation, like you mentioned, we were in chocolate. Chocolate prices were going up. Different raw materials are going up, right? Things have to change. Having control over your pricing, being able to have a good conversation with finance at the end of every day is super important. And that's kind of what we really got the advantage of using Katana as a solution. Able to, navigate that kind of those waters and seeing exactly where your cost is, how much it is per unit, how you're able to repackage things or change things in advance so that you're able to kind of fix all that. So that's like a huge piece.
And Justin, I'm
And that was
curious,
really helpful.
I'm
Yeah.
curious, like how long did it take for you to implement the system roughly? And like how quickly were you able to get the benefit out of it with your team?
Yeah, so the one piece that was kind of a challenge for us, I would say, was that, it was connected to Shopify at the time, and that was, I think the tech team was working on that piece. So that I think took a little long. But once I got it on my side, it was really easy to build the recipes out, build everything out really quickly. And then I was able to start, reviewing all the processes. So I was coming from an external viewpoint, so I kind of knew best practices already from previous experience. So we're able to kind of map that all out in a couple weeks, and then we went live and trained the team, and then we're up and running in probably a month or so once like the whole Shopify kind of system was properly connected with our workflow. And then, training the team, that's like, a constant thing. But when you do a good kind of launch, you start getting it. And because I was running it, we were able to like, manage mistakes, manage problems, and kind of fix the processes as we went. So that was really helpful.
And that's, you're talking about like 1 to 2 months, basically. That's what we're typically seeing in our implementation as well. Even if there's a lot of
Exactly.
complexity, that's the typical kind of time frame for Katana implementation. And I would say, it's kind of like it's impressive that we can put in place such a system in such a short period of time and have the people trained and implemented. If you compare to the bigger other system out there where you need, it's almost a year, lots of training and configuration. And, one of the benefits with Katana is really it's off the shelf, ready to roll. You get the benefits right away.
And I mean, we're talking about our whole experience, but like we grew so like we scaled in such a wrong way, and because we didn't have a system, right? Like that would have like put some guide rails to everybody, made sure that everyone's kind of doing the process properly. So after that, when you're trying to implement a bigger system, if you ever get there, if there's ever really a requirement, I mean, the teams already knows how to use the system. They're already used to using it. They're using it properly. All of a sudden, you're changing system. It's a lot easier. It was a nightmare installing a system at 300 million. It was completely, it didn't make
Agree.
any sense.
Agree. It's really like you're set the foundation to kind of like doing a step function approach where, we had this in a previous company. It was the crawl, walk, run approach where, not trying to bite the elephant first, right? Trying to bite and eat the mouse. And then, you can learn from it and improve and then, step function. I think Katana is a great way of doing it because it structure your team, structure your data before you can go potentially if you're still growing to a bigger system later on.
And our goal is not to become an all-in-one ERP. We really want to be the experts in that inventory manufacturing, and then be able to make it really easy to plug in those new technologies as you scale. If you want to open a new sales channel, being able to plug that in with Katana and move forward in an easy fashion. We make it really easy. And I think this really kind of showcases how Katana will help with these challenges, especially navigating the increased costs, having to potentially repackage your food, maybe change the sizes, but you have to have that data of understanding of raw material from finished good to be able to make those calls with finance. So appreciate the stories, guys, and let's move into actually speaking about a little bit more about LevelOps and how they help businesses get set up on Katana. So just before I tee it off to you guys, LevelOps as a partner, as we see today, and they have very hands-on experience working for businesses as operators, which is definitely gives them a different edge. Max and Justin, tell us a bit about how you would typically go about working with a new business. So, first introduction, you meet a new business. I know you guys typically have a process, and I'd love to hear what that looks like. We'll kind of focus on the food and beverage, but a lot of it overlaps. So, kind of give us that overview there of how you would recommend someone start implementing a software like Katana alongside
Yeah,
you guys.
definitely. Thank you, Vince. We can talk about our approach. So everything starts with an audit of the process and the actual system, if there are some in place. So we go into understanding what's the current situation. And when we want to move forward with a project, we will go through workshops in each of the main process, whether it's, purchasing management, inventory management, manufacturing management, and really go deep into like how things are going right now, what are the requirements, where we want to do it in the future. And it really helps us to understand your specific context. We know the operation inside out. I mean, like we're operation expert. We've done it before. We've been in your shoes. But it's really important to know if there's any more specific that are related to your business. Once we get that, we really go into the design and the implementation where we will configure the system. We will look at the data, clean the data, structure the data, make sure we have all the data required, and then start to do the implementation. Once the implementation and the system is ready, we will go with the training. So we've talked a lot about the importance of involving the people, making sure they're aware of the project and they know how to use the system. So we spend a lot of time into training the team before going live. And when we go live, we obviously provide support. We're on the ground with our clients. We like to be there. We love to be there. It's so important to be physically on site. That's one of the value added we provide because we understand so much more when we are there with the team. So typically that's our approach, Vince. We do it whether it's ERP, MRP implementation, or when we implement some of our AI agent for automating some of the process. It's really the eye level approach there. Is that Justin? Do you have anything to add on that or anything you want to share about?
Just the people, right? Being on the floor, being with the people. I mean, it's all change management at the end of the day, right? So it's super critical for success, and that's also an issue sometimes when if you don't have the time to do that piece because you have probably a job, this is really important to when you go live is to really have that and make sure that you're pushing the team to kind of use the system properly. And they have to be trained though, or else it's not going to work and they're not going to like it. And then it's not going to work and not a good time.
That is a good segue. And I was just wondering, without the right expertise, what are some of the things that can go wrong? I think you guys kind of talked about it on some of your experiences, but without having the right expertise early on, I mean, we often see folks who don't have that support are not using the product to its fullest extent. They're not being as efficient as possible. Maybe the people aren't adopting the software as much. Tell us a little bit about what can go wrong if you're not really working with someone who can actually provide you that hands-on support.
Yeah, so many things that can go wrong. It starts with the data, right? So I mean, like the data, not having the right quality data, not structured the right way. And then it goes to the people, not having the people involved from the get-go, making sure that they are aware of the project, they want to use the system, they know how to use the system. And then it's making sure that the system is configured in a way that it really answers the business needs. So those are the three main points we see that allowed us to make successful implementation and go live with our clients. Always look at the data, make sure people are involved, making sure the system is configured to the needs of the specific needs. So going through the process, it's never a copy paste, and it's important to go through the details with the clients to make sure it's successful.
Right on, right on. And I think now what we'll do is we'll move into an actual example of what LevelOps has done with some of our mutual customers to optimize those workflows.
Yeah, and this is one of the workflow we're super excited about, and there's lots of demand from our clients, and that's something that can be that allows to enhance some of the Katana functionality, because obviously what I'm about to give you as an example here of an AI automated workflow is automated order creation from email. So you have to think, Vince, and maybe you're not aware of that, but in the food and beverage industry, there's a lot of orders coming from customers that are written in emails, plain text. Sometimes it's PDF, like a purchase order coming from the PO, unstructured data. And even sometimes it's in WhatsApp, texto. You would be surprised, man. There's some food distributors, taking orders and giving orders, from WhatsApp message. That's, it's mind blowing. I know. Okay. But what we're doing with our automated order creation from email is that we're taking this unstructured data. We're looking at the information in the system like Katana or Shopify or SAP. We're looking at the product and the customer. And from that email, we're able to parse and structure the data and create an order directly. So that's instant. And it saves so much time. We had a client, Vince, there was an admin assistant spending 30 hours a week manually entering order from email. And obviously, it takes a lot of time and it costs a lot of money. But the worst thing was really the percentage of error, because nobody's perfect, right? You will do error when you type in and you copy this into the system. And it was creating issues down the road into production because of that. So this workflow that we have created can take input from many sources. Could be an email, could be a text, or could be text, could be PDF. And we're able to, with the AI agent, identify it and figure it out. What is the order for which customer, for when, and create that order in any system, whether it's Katana, Shopify, SAP. And it really allows the business to focus on what really matters, right? So that admin assistant could spend more time improving the customer relationship, right? Instead of doing data transcript. And that is a game changer for some of our clients. Lots of demand for that tool. And there's other tool there that we can help you if you're interested once you have implemented Katana that will allow you to save some time. But this is the most popular so far.
Wonderful. And I think this is like a great showcase of how partnering with Katana as well as a partner of ours like LevelOps really can unlock another level for your business for operational efficiency. So Katana will provide you that great software, easy to use, and so on. But let's say you do have these custom workflows and you want to optimize those. The folks at LevelOps can kind of build that out for you, understand your operations, and then streamline a lot of these workflows. So it's a great example, Max. And this one may actually be up on our integration marketplace down the road as well for a broader audience of customers.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. It's coming soon.
Awesome. Awesome. Can't wait to see that. We're coming close to the end here, guys. We just really want to kind of highlight and bring this all back together and talk about how, when you're a scaling business, it's really important to pick the right partners, right? So with Katana here, we provide the platform, the product. It's quite easy to use once you have the right guidance. We have best practice workflows and also very typically seamless to implement, be it moving from a traditional software or spreadsheets, but also seeing folks moving from all-in-one ERPs trying to go for a best-of-breed tech stack. And then you have OBIUS or LevelOps, sorry, on the other side that provides implementation success. They will make sure you implement successfully, are training the staff as they talked about with real hands-on experience, understanding the intimacy of your business. So understanding every aspect of your business, the folks who are working there and how to optimize all that. Max, I'd love to kind of hear a bit about that side from a partnership perspective. I feel like you guys definitely help us, our customer base, to utilize our platform to its fullest extent. But give us a little more about why you think it's really important for these brands to kind of consider choosing the right stack of technology, but also the right advisors like yourselves.
Definitely. And Vince, we love working with you guys with Katana. I think it's a great partnership. And one of the thing I mentioned that was really important for me when I scaled the operation of that food manufacturing brand was alignment between the cross-functional team. That alignment is really required when you're talking about, a special project like a MRP implementation. And that's why, this alignment with Katana and LevelOps is so important and beneficial for our clients because we're working hand in hand. So we know the system inside out. We know what's good. We know, what we could, enhance the system with some of our workflow. We have really good collaboration with the technical team when we need to do custom integration. Obviously, there's a bunch of native integration out of the Katana of the shelf already that are really good, but sometimes there's specific needs where LevelOps is able to enhance and fulfill those specific customer needs. And when we're working to develop those custom integration, we have direct access to the Katana technical team, so we can really, make sure if we have any question, we can deliver value to our customer really quickly. And what we like about Katana as well, and the partnership is that we really are able to give the feedback from our customers
That's it.
that are saying, anything that we can improve in the system, and we dilute that and we, funnel it into Katana. And we've seen it, over the past of the few months and few years that we've been working with Katana, that Katana is deploying and improving the system, every month. And those improvements are based on the customer feedback that we get from our customers. And that to me is really it's a proof of a great partnership because there's open communication and really improving to bring value to our customers. And that's some of the points, Vince, that I'm grateful we can work with you guys to really help our customer to do better, to deliver quick ROI with a great system.
Thanks, Max. So we're actually coming to the end here, and I think whoever you are in the audience, if you are a brand looking for assistance, or if you're a potential partner who's considering getting in touch with us, we'd love to hear from you. I mean, I think this is a perfect example of how a partnership works really well here at Katana. And I think from there, what we'd love to do is kind of open it up to questions. But before we do that, I'd love to get any final statements from Justin, Max. Generally, we appreciate everyone joining today, but we'll get into questions in a moment. But any final statements, guys?
Do you want to go first, Justin?
Thank you for having us, Vince. It's been a really great webinar. I hope it was insightful for everyone listening and watching. And I think, like we said, we really enjoy working with Katana in general. Just the speed at which innovations happening on that platform is really like nothing else we've seen, and that's kind of why we always recommend it to our clients.
Appreciate it.
Yes, and thank you, Vince, and the whole Katana team for allowing us to showcase some of the work that we're doing. And I'm super grateful that we have this great partnership with you guys. And for anybody listening out there, if you have any question, if you want to learn more, please reach out to us. We'll be delighted to speak with you and learn about your challenge in your business.
Great, thanks, Max. We'll move over to questions now. I think we got one in the chat here. So can you give an example how you were able to automate the order creation process? So I think you did show that with the email.
That's a great question, Paul. So there's twofold, right? So you're right. Sometimes it's good to influence the customers in how the data is sent over. We kind of like take it as a step function approach, I would say. So if you look at the the overall orders that are sent to our customers, part of it will be sometimes just text. Part of it will be through forms, PDS forms, or image like pictures forms. So we're really breaking it down into like small pieces of challenge or problem to tackle. So first, the easiest is really just the text. So when we do this, we're unlocking time from the admin system. Instead of retyping the order from the text email to work in the relationship with the customer. So once we get that part automated, then we can work with the other customers to see how we can structure the data or structure the way that they send the information to. So it's really like having quick wins and quick ROI. What's the easiest gain we can get, right? So we can automate that part. Let's do it right away. And then we can work with the more challenging, data inputs or more challenging customers that have resistance to change, right? But unlocking that time from that admin system, kind of like give the ability to go forward. We don't necessarily want to change customers' behavior from the get-go, if that's what you were asking or referring to. Obviously, like depending on the culture of the business, but in my point of view, to me, customers are king, right? Customers are gods, kings and queens and gods, right? So we got to make sure that we are serving them the way they want. And sometimes if they want to continue to send in a scrappy email text form, we'll handle it, right? So that's kind of like the first step. And then obviously, if there's more challenge and if there's an openness to change, we can potentially like influence to get in some other type of forms. I don't know if it's helpful, Paul. Does that answer your question? Yeah, I mean, the solution itself, the engine, I mean, in our case, if we're speaking about our solution, it's the same engine, Paul. It's just that sometimes depending, if it's text email, that's easier to manage. If it's PDF or image, sometimes depending on how the file is structured, the performance might not be there. So we really have to, when we're talking about the file, there's a bit of analysis to see like what's the positioning of the information. Is there how's the information on the file, and that's important to see because there could be there's more risk of inaccuracy when it's coming from a picture rather than a text. So hope it helps and it's help you understand and answer your question.
Yeah, thanks for your questions, Paul. And if you want to connect with Max and team later too, we can absolutely get you connected. I just have a question I think that's kind of really important for this day and age is the state of ERP. There's people have tough decisions as they're scaling their businesses, to go for an all-in-one ERP. We're seeing more and more businesses go for that best of breed tech stack, choosing a Katana to run their inventory, their manufacturing, their order flow. But plugging and playing, let's say a Shopify, a QuickBooks for finance and then or for accounting, and then let's say a Shopify or a HubSpot for your CRM. Max and Justin, can you guys have been in the space for a while. You've implemented all-in-one ERPs. You worked with MRPs more like us. What are you seeing out there? Why are businesses going for that best of breed tech stack more than ERPs that compared to let's say 5-10 years ago?
Yeah, and I think there's a switch right now, Vince. And for sure, the approach for decentralized best of breed is best. If you take a step back, when you're, managing a business, what's the main thing to do? Your main goal is to sell and make sure your customers are happy and make sure you can deliver on what you sell. And when you're implementing a really like full pledge cross-functional ERP, it sometimes tends to paralyze the business for like a year and a half, 2 years. And, your goal as a business is not to have perfect operation. Your goal as a business is to make sure you're selling, you're delivering on what you sell, and your customers are happy. So going with the best of breed approach allows you to focus on what's the biggest pain, what's the biggest point and the biggest bottleneck, and then you solve it, right? So whether it's, inventory or manufacturing, or whether it's, customer relationship and sales, right? So you could go with HubSpot for the sales, quick fix, boom, 2 months, we're done. The sales team is up and running, and then we can optimize and grow. And it doesn't influence or paralyze the rest of the business as operation or finance or whatsoever. Same with, Katana MRPs, right? So if you're going really with operation, you're tackling it, you don't paralyze the business, you get quick ROI within, 2-3 months, you have benefits, and, it allows you to grow to like a certain level of complexity and revenue and volume. And it helps you to structure your process and your data without taking, years to optimize. So it's really the quick ROI, good enough approach that we're really seeing. And to us, it's really the right approach. As operator, that's what I would done, in the past, right? So I don't want to spend time, selecting and implementing full-fledged cross-functional ERP. I want to spend time with my customers. I want to spend time, optimizing, my customer experience, making sure I can, sell more of my beautiful product and delicious product, right? So that's really the switch we're seeing in the past few months and years.
Great. And a lot of the
Just
businesses that work. Oh, go ahead.
just to add to that, I think a
Yeah,
big
add to that for
changer
sure.
now is the integration, right? Before, like that didn't really exist, right? They weren't cloud-based. They had to put it all together. It had to figure out a way to put it all. Now, I mean, you probably already have an accounting software. Like that's probably the first thing you've implemented. So now you have to go and change that and change a bunch of other stuff just to make it all work. I mean, you can just grab a Katana, for example, and then connect it anyway. And then you don't really have, you lose nothing. You added functionality and you're off to the races.
That's it. You hit the nail on the head, and that's kind of what I was getting at. Was you can add systems and platforms alongside Katana very easily. In a matter of weeks, you can have a new sales channel, put up, for example, or a new accounting system plugged in. So great. We are running to the end of our time here. Let's see if we got any other questions. I know there's one question that we got just recently. This will be our last question, I think. But just the success of an implementation. I mean, you did touch on it, but can you give us a hard hitting, 3 to 5 bullet points? What is the most important aspects of a successful implementation, moving forward with Katana?
Definitely. I think it's first it's the engagement from leadership, from the management team, from the people, making sure they're aware of the project, what's going on, timeline, who does what. When we have the drive from the leadership team to make it a priority, people will set time in their schedule to work on it, to have trainings, and to be excited about about it, right? So we need to make sure that they're excited about the project, so they can, they can push that project forward and be excited to use the tool. So that's number one. And number two is really data quality, right? So making sure that we have one single source of truth, the data is clean, no duplicate, the data is structured in a way that it's easy to implement and upload in the system, and making sure that we have, for all the people, the same source of data. The number three is really, find the right tech and the right partners, right? So spend time to make sure that you're selecting the right technology and the right partner to do it. I see business that says, yeah, I'm techie enough, I'll do it, but it's a specific job, right? So there's some specific things that you need to know when you implement system, and don't hesitate to reach out to expert. To me, it's really a really good sign that your project will be successful. And I think the last thing is really don't minimize the impact of training. Spend a lot of time training your team, making sure that they know the system, they like the system, answer their question, showing the system. To me, that's the right thing. And I don't know if you have anything else, Justin, you want to add on that.
No, I think that covers it. It's pretty good. So
Wonderful.
thank you.
Well, we're wrapping up here. Again, thank you for the questions, Paul. Appreciate it as well. Take care of yourself as well. So thank you, everyone. We really appreciate it. I think today really kind of showcased how Katana and our partnerships really thrive and help our mutual clients scale their businesses, as good as they possibly can. And beyond this, we'd love to reach out. We'd love to speak to you. So if you have an opportunity to reach out to us, we got some QR codes up here. We'd love to hear from you. If either you're a new customer potentially who's exploring Katana, or a current customer of ours that is looking to maybe optimize your processes, we'd love to hear from you. And if you're a potential partner and you'd like to partner with us, I'd love to hear from you. Let's chat. And we appreciate everyone taking the time today.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.